Roger's seat here.
Okay.
Showtime.
Alrighty, you want to read that?
Want a motion to open first?
Yeah, give me a motion to open it.
I make a motion to open the meeting.
Second, all in favor? Okay.
Aye.
A public hearing be held in accordance with the general laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, on the application of the West Boylston Municipal Light Plant, request for determination of applicability for a battery energy storage project, BESS, at 225 Shrewsbury Street, West Boylston, Mass. The work will involve grading, installation of stormwater BMPs, trenching, backfill, and compaction of trenches, pouring of concrete, placement of battery containers, and ancillary equipment, laying of fabric, final grading, installation of a fence, and complete electrical work. Public hearing is being held on today. So,
Thank you, ComCon. I appreciate it. My name's John Fitch. I'm the general manager of the West Boylston Light Department, and we're applying for an RDA, a request for determination, regarding our battery energy storage system, which we propose to place adjacent to the existing solar field and flywheel energy storage system. All of the batteries, the ancillary equipment, the transformer, they'll sit on concrete pads. Those pads in total are probably 1,200 square feet of impervious space, so it's not a lot. The site itself has been used as a DG, or distributed generation site, since about 2010 when the solar installation went in. Then, like I said, we augmented that with the flywheel storage system, and this is just the general progression to a battery energy storage system on site. Kind of our smaller distributed generation park for the West Boylston Light Department and its ratepayers. So that's what we propose to do. There's no parking on site per se. There'll be no parking lots. There'll be no lighting. It'll be just the pads. It'll be unoccupied site like it is now. So there will be very little traffic except for some O&M operations and maintenance periodically, corrective maintenance periodically. So pretty benign site, essentially what it looks like now. Noise levels will be non-existent except for some fans inside some of the equipment, which should be fairly quiet and not exceed any threshold that we have to worry about. And you can go down there now and see the same inverters with the same fans, and you have to walk right up on them and hear them. Other key items that you might be concerned with, there's from our analysis, we don't see any wetlands adjacent to our site that are significant. We don't see any other issues with the site per se, but we are asking the ComCon, like I said, for a determination. We'd like to get that in formally done because of the way we're going to finance this project. I just want to cross all our I's, cross our T's and I's, dot our I's, so that the financing folks will know that we went through the proper process. If there's any showstoppers, then we find out now.
You know, DCR has determined you're exempt anyway, so I know the site.
All right.
This project is within the boundary of what's already have the solar panels? Or adjacent?
Adjacent, so where the flywheels jog out, so if you're looking at the site from Shrewsbury Street, the flywheels jog out slightly. We're gonna square that off with the battery storage system, so the fence line will be square instead of jogged for the flywheels.
Any questions?
I'm just curious, because I live down there. Any security issues? I mean, is it going to be all behind fence? And so the batteries, I don't know. Is that good for
Yeah,
somebody gets in there?
Anybody can get into anything, anytime.
I know.
So that's one thing, but it will be fenced off. It will be monitored. Everything will be alarmed. We have fire and entry alarms already in the enclosure for the flywheels and the solar systems. So we do have some monitoring there. We used to have cameras, but the cameras were outdated, and anything we did see wasn't very visible. So it's kind of tough for cameras. Even today's technology is a little blurry. Eventually there'll be something a little bit better, but right now we're thinking just fence, security alarms. A fire suppression system will be inside the battery system. The battery enclosures themselves actually don't even allow humans inside. There's not enough space for someone to walk in. It's just a Connex with the equipment inside. You open up the doors, work from the outside, close the doors, and go on your way. We'll be working with the fire department, of course, to make sure that the fire suppression system is UL listed and meets all their requirements.
What's the lifespan of the batteries?
probably 10 to 15 years. It's a lithium-ion battery, so they do degrade fast, but we're gonna try to, we're only gonna try to run it 50 to 60 times a year. So how it works is that our peak hours per month occur 4 or 5 times per month, and one of those days becomes the monthly peak. So 4 or 5 days a month, we run it for 3 or 4 hours, and it makes us look much smaller, so the towns build less for its utility company, which then in turn reflects back on the rates.
Now, would you come back to us when you change batteries, or your regular maintenance program gonna come up?
Well, we're gonna ask the manufacturer to give us a replacement plan right away. Well, I don't think we'll have to replace the enclosure itself, but maybe the battery packs inside, so if we come back, we can.
If you could get us that, so we could just do everything just one time?
Yeah.
That versus coming back here all the time to do that.
And you want me to come back?
No, I don't want you to come back.
Yeah.
We'll just do the negative determination
Oh,
now. But
okay.
if I knew what the maintenance was gonna be, I'll just make it part of the package.
Okay. I would say 10 to 15 years. It really depends on how many times you run them and how well the technology catches up. Because right now, lithium-ion batteries are what is going to power these batteries. That's the battery source or the battery chemistry. But no one's really figured out how to deal with them afterwards. So they're saying there's going to be recyclers. They're saying there's going to be an industry set up for these. So it's kind of to be determined. But I would envision changing them out in 10 or 15
Well, what
years.
I'd like to do is tie it in
Yeah.
to the current laws.
Okay.
So that when you came in, it's just kind of like an addendum item
All right.
versus starting from scratch all over again.
All right, very good. I appreciate that.
Any other questions from the board?
When are we as individuals gonna be able to do that in our own home?
You can do it anytime.
Yeah?
We have a program for it. We give customers presently $5 to $10 per month if they let us dispatch their battery system at home on a certain hour. That same
Oh, cool.
4 or 5 hours per month. So that already exists, and some customers are already taking advantage of that. So there's 2 or 3 customers that have battery systems in their homes now in town.
Cool, I'm glad I came, I learned something.
How big is the flywheel? Is the diameter of the thing?
6 feet in diameter and 6 feet in the ground, about 10,000 pounds, and it spins between 6,000 and 9,000 RPMs. So it's a lot of mass spinning very
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
And basically, they charge from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and they discharge every day from 4 to 8 p.m., which gets me right in that peak hour that I talked about. Everything we do, we try to minimize the size of West Boylston Light to the world on those key hours we get billed on monthly and annually. So we've been doing it for a few years now, and we've saved quite a bit of money. And so it works well. The rules are written that way, so we follow them and take advantage of them when we can. And this is one of the ways we can reduce the town's load on a predictable day, so we do it.
Any questions in the audience? Seeing none. Can I get a motion for negative determination?
I make a motion for a negative determination on this project.
All in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
So what I'll do is I write these on Sunday morning. All right. The time I've got. So,
All right.
all right, and I'll get it over to you.
And no rush. We're
All right.
taking our time.
All right.
There's long lead times too. So. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is New England Power. I have another one for you.
Another one?
You can get them in chronological order.
So,
Excuse me?
Yep.
Who seconded? Who seconded? Okay.
Yep.
And then I've got the signature page to do too, unless you want to do.
You got your little tape recorder? You want us to do it up here, or
What's that?
you want us to put the tape recorder here? Is it picking up everything? Oh, all right.
Yeah, it should, and he's recording it too, so.
Oh, all right, there you go.
Do you want to, maybe you want to say
We'll do the signature page, yeah.
all at the same time? or-
I'll do it right now. We can do it while she's doing this.
Okay.
Let's start right there.
thank
You
you.
have a pen?
I don't. Give it the guy without the pen.
That's Toby's pen. Oh, this is the good little boy, right. Teacher, you forgot to give us your homework.
I still don't know what
Oh,
this
thank you. Okay.
I'm so tempted to push that.
You all set?
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Okay.
Don't mind us.
So my name's Olivia Shaw. I'm here to represent New England Power Company. I'm an environmental scientist with TRC, and we do a lot of their environmental permitting. So I'm here for a request for determination of applicability for a small section of underground conduit line that needs to be installed outside of the Wachusett substation at 53 Temple Street, so just down the road. So the majority of the work is within the fence line of the substation, and it's exempt under the utility maintenance exemption, but a small portion of it is inside wetland buffer zone and outside the substation fence line. So it's about, let's see, 314 feet of the conduit will be installed inside wetland buffer zone and outside the substation. And because it's not in an existing roadway, we're just wondering, it's gonna have similar impacts because it's an already disturbed area and it's already mowed, but it is not within a paved roadway. So what they're gonna do is they're going to dig trenches that are either 12 inches or 24 inches in width, that are 3 feet deep. They're gonna install the conduit, then they're gonna use the material that they removed and backfill the trenches with that material. Patch it all up, put straw to stabilize it, and then they'll have an environmental monitor checking on it to make sure that it revegetates and gets back to its original condition. So, yeah.
Now, your towers, they were gonna be on a concrete base, that pre-made, you're gonna do it on site?
So this does not involve any towers. This is
Oh,
just,
alright.
yeah, this is just installing, it's like a conduit so that they can run fiber optic cables underground. So I think it's like a concrete pipe that they'll be putting in there that they'll afterwards run wires through.
Now, is running the wires part of it too, or you're just doing the pipe now?
I think we're just doing the conduit. This is just for installing the conduit.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. Pretty much nothing, really. Any questions? Any questions in the audience? Can I give you a negative
Negative.
determination? We'll do
I
it
make a
again.
motion to, how do I word it? Negative determination on this project,
As presented.
as presented. Thank you. As presented.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye. Just never got read. Is that a problem?
Thank you.
What's that?
Thank you.
Did that get read?
I'm sorry, who seconded? Okay, thanks. I have trouble hearing in this room.
Yeah.
It echoes a lot.
I make the next motion. There you go.
We got one more, and then I do the rest of the meeting myself.
Did you read it? Okay. Public hearing being held in accordance with the general laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, on the application of James Pedone, on behalf of the town of West Boylston, notice of intent for softball field renovation, including grading, drainage, infield, backstop fencing, walkway, and irrigation at Mixter Field, 120 Prescott Street, West Boylston. Public meeting held today.
Toby, you have a signature page for that last one?
Oh,
David Warner here, who will present. He has an easel. I don't know what's the best place to put it, so it
Let's
can
put it right there, it's fine.
be cameras or...
Yeah, the camera's right there, so it gets kind of, do the best you can.
Toby's pen.
Do we need to speak into the microphone?
We'll pick it up, we can hear you.
Hello. Good evening. My name is David Warner, principal of Warner Larson Landscape Architects, and my company was hired for the renovation of the Mixter Field. And with me is Tim Power from PVI Site Design. He's our civil engineer who developed the drainage design and performed the drainage calculations that were included with the notice of intent application. We have the cards that have been sent back.
oh, great, yeah, I'll take that.
And we've
Thank
also
you.
received the DEP file number for this, which has been provided to Toby, to staff. And I'm just going to give you a quick introduction for the project scope as it relates to the buffer zone. If I might just stand up there so I can point. Great. And then Tim will get into more specifics relative to the drainage design, how we're matching the existing runoff in terms of where water is going with the proposed design. I think the biggest issue with the existing site is that we have a major drainage problem out there, as you're probably all well aware of. The senior center is over here, right? This is Prescott Street. This is the entrance drive to the senior center. And all we're showing on this plan is the edge where the existing parking that will remain is, so you can see that relationship to the proposed improvements. And then the jurisdictional buffer zone, the BBW, is delineated here. And this is showing the 100-foot buffer zone and where it overlaps the proposed condition. The existing softball infield is located in this corner, and the outfield has a major drainage problem right here. And the priority for this project is to make sure that the field has a good playable surface when we're all done. And the lay of the land is relatively flat up there. So the orientation of the field is really important for player safety, just because, you know, avoiding impacts from the setting sun over here. So the field is now proposed to be located oriented from home plate looking through second base, off towards the east. And as such, in order to get the infield to drain properly, to shed water properly, we're raising the grade. And this cross section over here is taken through the middle of the site. It's foreshortened with a break line in the middle, so it's basically showing you this side and this side and how they relate. But because the grade is low and we aren't in a floodplain, which is great, we can fill, we don't have to worry about compensatory storage. We have a stone wall that is existing along this side of the site that we will be adding rubble fill up against it so that we'll be able to use that as a retaining system. And the fill is being placed in such a way so that we can have positive surface drainage. The grading you can see here, these contours, are pitching away from the infield. And then we have an under drainage system and collection pipe, which I think it would be good, you know, for Tim to speak to, just as I wrap up here. A part of the project is to make sure that we have accessibility to the infield area. Because as part of the ADA, it's required areas of active play for recreational facilities have an accessible route. So we're showing a paved sidewalk that comes down along to the player area and future spectator area. So Tim, if you'd like to describe the drainage and how we're matching existing.
Sure. So, you know, not too complicated here, existing ball field, grass ball field to future grass ball field, obviously with the infield mix as well. Like David was saying, fairly flat in the middle, but we tried to find a general split. We saw a general split of stormwater, some of it going this way, directed wetlands, and some going this way towards Prescott Street. What we've done with the fill, actually, is what we see commonly with any sports field renovation, is we're trying to get a well-draining soil material in the middle. So as after the sheet flow goes across, there's some interceptor drains beyond the area of play, really just like a French drain stone up to the surface of the water sheet flow go in. Helps get distributed a little bit by the under drains as well. And will travel through here. The subgrade is designed to then pitch back towards the stone wall, go this way. So we have a lot of surface area for this water to go and go in. Some soil tests were done by the survey company that showed I believe it was a C-type soil. We've used a more conservative infiltration rate on this as well. When we do that, we see that the subgrade of this system can hold a 100-year storm on its own. So that's, I forget the exact number, but it's around 8 inches of water over 24 hours. On top of that, we're providing an overflow drain because, as David said, the primary reason for this project is to keep it dry. So a little bit of balance suspenders, but just a perimeter drain going around, small 4-inch set, almost level on the end here. And then we'll come around and have a very small outlet discharge point with some stone picking up both sides towards the wetlands. And again, not expecting to see any water unless it's above a 100-year storm. And we've tried to be conservative with our infiltration rates as well, so I'm hoping to be more than that from there. So that's really the bulk of it, surface drainage, some contours just sort of naturally pitching, swales out in the edges to get to the end. There are some areas that aren't picked up by the fields, so around the edges, that will just flow directly as they do today. Some flow directly to Prescott Street. As part of this, we'll see a reduction in runoff, surface runoff to both sources. As Specifically, we know there's a existing drainage pipe here going across Prescott Street that has some maintenance issues, so we're reducing stress on that by this project. So taking water away, putting it in ground with some potential overflow on a very large storm system. So I'll keep it simple, happy to run more details, questions come up, but.
What's the height of your water table there?
Water table's shallow, so they all showed about 30 inches from existing grade today. So, in the high spots, this is getting filled in 2 feet. So this subgrade is just about maybe the 6 inches of loam removed is where the subgrade will be. So it'll be about 2 feet above the water table with this system.
So your contour rings, so the infield's gonna be the up gradient, and then you're going down gradient into the outfield? Okay, so all the water's gonna get trapped on the side, are you using your rubble as an interceptor drain going back
Yep.
down?
Yep, so right, a little interceptor drain here, a little interceptor drain here, the stone, and then it'll travel.
And the water down there in the corner at the entrance, where are you getting rid of that? Nope, the other end. Yep, right there.
Over here.
Yeah.
This actually sheds away some amount of surface runoff that just goes back.
Because there is a storm drain right there, right in the
Yes.
corner? Yeah,
Right
okay.
here. This, on the other side of the wall, there becomes a
Could
little
you
bit of
sign
depression there.
And how much water do you think you're gonna bring into that other section? I have 3 septic systems right there.
Into this section.
At the far end in the wetlands, there's 3 houses there that have septics in them.
I guess I have to look at the numbers, but we are.
I just don't want them flooded out, that's all.
No, we're less than. So under existing conditions, some of the sheets that way, any discharge from just these small perimeter areas
Yep.
is substantially less than all of this.
Okay. And that'll handle the water from up above, because the whole thing is down gradient from the nursing home, right? Old age home.
Nursing home?
There's here, but this is.
It's a senior center.
This is
Nursing
curved,
home.
so I think this has its own.
That's true. The parking lot has a curbed closed drainage system.
Is that where all the water's coming from? I mean, I know it's coming from the sky, but.
They've got storm drains up.
Falling from the side, from the-
No, this is all very, where the problem you're seeing here, this is all very flat, like, we're doing our water maps, we
Yeah.
make some assumptions about where it's going, but I think just between the shallow water table and the fact that this is, it's not a depression, but on a big scale, it's kind of a depression, so it's just not sheeting off, so it's sitting there, in the ground.
Yeah, who says it's not a floodplain? It's,
FEMA.
my kids waded in that during baseball games back in the day.
Sure, not that it doesn't flood, but it's not a flood plain, a little different, so we're trying to fix the flooding, the rainfall flooding, right? So-
So the water from the parking lot of the senior center goes,
That goes into storm drains up above.
Yeah, it has its own collection drainage
so it
system.
doesn't go over there at all?
No.
I guess I'm not entirely sure, it was out of our rate of study, but there's no connection coming over here that we saw.
Yeah, the water used to just puddle there and stay there.
Okay.
And as long as he's got room to put it over there, it doesn't affect the septic, I don't have a problem with it.
We put better material underneath, so it'll.
What are you using for material, do you know yet?
What's that?
What are you gonna use for material?
Freely draining granular fill, maximum particle size of 3 inches, so it's like a bank run gravel.
Oh, all
is-
right. Any questions?
What's the material the girls will be sliding in that infield?
So we specify a, it's.
I was a
so-
softball coach, and I watched a lot of scraped up knees in some of
No,
those.
it's a professional skinned infield mixture, and for recreational purposes, it's easier to maintain than the high silt and clay content. It's widely used.
Same stuff as in the softball field in the center of town?
So I actually don't know that. But Dura Edge is the brand name that we specify, recreational league, and it's got a little bit of a sandy content to it, so that it doesn't get really dusty and doesn't need to be wetted down a lot. It also is easier to maintain from a weed control standpoint.
And the lawn will be, you're not using sod, you're gonna seed it, right? I'm
Correct.
assuming.
This is a project that has budget constraints like any other project.
Right.
And priorities have been, and also, it was originally budgeted when we were retained, our services were retained a year and a half ago, that we have to work within that budget. So there's things like the spectator seating would be put in at a future date.
Dugouts would also be at a future date? Just gonna put benches, dugouts, you're gonna have those?
Correct, but it's impervious underneath them. We're putting
Right.
pavement for the team benches, so dugouts can be erected at a later time, yes.
Okay.
But this will be irrigated as part of this base scope, so that the seed will take and it will be successful.
All right. Any other questions? Nothing. Dave?
Would this fall under that new MS4 stormwater that's coming to town?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I don't think he has enough footage.
Okay.
I think you have to connect to the public drainage system as well.
Right.
Didn't they, when they built the senior center, I know that didn't they dig up part of the mixer? Didn't they didn't do any stormwater drainage or anything?
No.
Oh, they did?
Matter of fact, when they put the electric lines in, they basically put them in water, which is,
Seriously?
yeah. So it's being moved at, thanks to the light department is, because all that stuff is in the field of play. We were never consulted about the location of any of that stuff when it was put in, so John is moving it outside of the field of play, and actually fixing a lot of the areas that, the problem areas that were caused by that.
You're gonna install light towers too, or nothing?
No, if you'd like, I can answer that question.
No, go ahead, yeah.
With regard to the utilities, and thank you, Jen, for answering about the utility pole. There's a pole on the field side of the stone wall that's being relocated, but also the underground electric that runs through here, and next to it is the underground water supply. That's one of the reasons why we're using this fill situation, because we don't want to get into an issue of having to, if we were excavating, of course, groundwater, so making sure that we fill as well. But those are going to be existing to remain utilities underneath the field that will no longer impact it, because with that fill, we can run our irrigation piping through that without interfering with those existing utilities.
Okay.
No sports lighting.
Don't need the neighbors yelling at me for lumens here. Any other questions? We're good? Audience, any questions? Nothing? Do your thing again?
I make a motion to approve this project as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're all set.
Thank you.
You did a good job.
Thank you. And could I ask when you deliberate and issue the order of conditions?
I'll do it on Sunday morning.
Oh, great.
If you're going to the late mass, you can attend.
Well, thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
You. This time,
What's that?
Over there.
Carl,
Yeah.
seconded.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I did.
Thank you again.
You. That's Toby's pen.
It's a nice pen.
There you go.
You people from Bowen? I don't really have anything here. You got, on the dumping, is that what? Okay. Well, if you could tell me what do you want?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
You're for the dumping on
Yes.
Bowen? I gave it to the building inspector, who's our code enforcement. That's not something I really do. I just give it to him and,
You know, because as we were leaving tonight,
yeah.
they were dumping.
What is the lawn clippings and all that?
Lawn clippings,
They've been-
grass,
Yeah, they've been doing that for years.
dirt, brush,
Yeah.
Christmas trees. My whole thing is, if I can't dump there,
No, I got it. But
like anybody else. I have to go to the brush dump once a month.
I'm with you, but all I can do is give his building inspector, it's not something we do.
Okay,
Mainly because we're too old.
Right there with
In
you.
my heyday, I could not yell at the guy, but not now.
I mean, I was told that there were gonna be signs possibly. put up.
Yes. But that is, don't know. I've got a bunch of them I gotta put on throughout the town, but they just tell me, yeah, yeah, and I just go, yeah, yeah.
Now, as far as the last meeting that we came to, it was determined that was not buildable,
Right.
and it was gonna be,
Again, that's a lawyer problem.
so it's still being fought in the, with a lawyer.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with us anymore. It's between those two people. So I don't know what they're doing.
Okay, thank you.
But I do know they have 3 years on the law. You have 3 years to change a bogus, what do you call it, deed? And you have 10 years to bring suit on it. That's pretty much it.
But as it stands today, it's still not buildable.
That's my understanding, right? Because they're under 40,000 feet. They have the frontage, they just don't have the footage.
Thank you.
Alrighty. All right, so. Anybody read the minutes? Come on, Emily, do your thing. I wouldn't read the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second?
Second.
Oh, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, update in Bowen, we just did it. Update on Prospect Street, lots 14 and 15. He is actually cleaning the waste out of there now. That's the one from Tashin.
Oh, God, that's still going on? Sorry.
I do what I can do. Treasurer, we have money,
Woo-hoo.
doing well.
we go
And
someplace?
miscellaneous mail and everything, I haven't read it, to tell you the truth. Which, I'm taking a pile home and I'll read it. Any other business that we have to do? David, you got anything exciting for us?
I just curious about the dam.
Nothing. They haven't told me a thing. It was supposed to be done last year, told me it was gonna be done this year, and you know the deal. They get the money probably May 1, and they have to like June 30th, so.
But doesn't the conservation still have something to do with that?
We've okayed everything. It's only good for 3 years. They've already done, this will be their second, they have 1 more year, but
Is there
I
any way
understand they
that-
were trying to do it right away.
Is there any way that you might be able to contact me and find out?
I could call her, sure,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought it was gonna be done by now.
Well, give her a call and I'll call you.
Okay.
They had said August was the better time to do it.
It is, but you have to start it and make your sign the contracts and everything.
Oh, all right.
If you don't use the money, then they take it away from you
Ah,
and stick it
yes.
next year. It's one of those type deals.
Use it or
You're gonna have the money,
lose it.
but. You got anything else for us, Toby? I even have a gavel I can rub it. I got all the power tonight.
I guess just the next meeting is June 5th,
Okay,
and that's it, really.
Okay.
all right.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
So, ite misa est. Remember that?
Somebody else can make motions besides me.